He's just hurt. There's no other reason. He's just hurt. He's if he could play, he could. With all the guys we have out, we certainly wouldn't just hold a guy out because of any other reason. He can't go. So he took a number of blows that game, but it was one of those, physical games, and we knew it was going to be that way. So we're hopeful he'll be back soon. Yeah. I mean, their ability to change, throughout the season, they can change defensive coverages better than anybody I've seen. And, to start the year, I feel like when I watched them, they were in one particular package. When we played them, they switched a lot. And now you see them in coverage with almost every position. And, as a coach, that forces me to think about certain environments before you try to put your team in a situation where they can be successful, because they have a championship pedigree now, and they have defensive-minded guys that can execute all that stuff. So they just pose so many challenges for every team on both ends. But that's the one thing I've seen with them. And you can't do that if you don't have high-level players that can execute those types of game plans. I don't think we do that. I think that comes up from time to time. I don't think we feature anyone. I think our system at times will focus on certain environments where certain guys can play well in them, and they just happen to be Chris and Book at times. But then there's games like last game, we didn't feature Cam Johnson. He just went out there and hooped. So I hope our system allows for guys to, do that. But we certainly need DA to have, the type of game that he's capable of within the system. So, I hope that happens today.
Settling for the mid-range, because obviously, he doesn't have Chris or Book out there.
Yeah.
The guys that get it by far.
Yeah.
Not settling, but also adjusting.
So I don't think it's settling. I think he gets too much criticism for taking jump shots. He can make those shots. I think there's a balance, though, of taking those shots and also going down in the paint and getting to his jump hook and offensive rebounding and that kind of thing. But I don't look at it as settling, because he makes a lot of those shots. So I think there just has to be great balance. And then I think we have to also recognize that when he does dive or when he runs in transition, it creates offense for us that may not show up for him in the stat sheet. And I think that's just as important. But on a night like tonight, we need jump shots, post-ups, or today rather. But I'd rather see balance than one or the other.
What did you like? It's only been a couple of years. What did you like from the playmaking in terms of Cam, Jay, and Mikhail, the way they've been?
Yeah, I think that's one thing we have focused on is, telling those guys to be playmakers, because we don't have, Chris and Book. And I think the more balance we have there, where we have multiple guys doing it, it takes the focus off of Cam and Aaron, and at times Alfred. And so we need multiple playmakers, especially against good defensive teams like Milwaukee.
After game 6, I think you reiterated that in Phoenix, like that final made. Can you summarize that at all at this point, on how that experience made?
I mean, I think in any sport, when you lose like that, you have to really be honest with yourself as to why. If you were a boxer, and you got clipped with a right cross, You know what I'm saying? You're going to keep your left up, and you're going to learn how to build that stamina to keep your left up, right? So those are things that anytime you fail in that particular platform, you just look at stuff that can make you better. You don't know me that well, but I'm not going to tell you what it is. So won't fill your space with that quote, but they did. And I told Giannis again at the All-Star game, like, you guys made us better. You made me look at some things that I needed to change because they stressed us in a number of areas. And I bet if you talk to Bud, he'd say the same thing. I mean, you don't go through that kind of series and not learn from it. They just happened to win, and we respect the heck out of them for that. I don't think it's that, just because of the different variables that are in place. They're somewhat of a different team too. I mean, they have, Grayson Allen, and Noir has taken on a different role. Portis has become even more valuable than he was last year, and we're missing so many guys. So I think it's a little bit different. For me, it is, being in the same hotel room and seeing some of the same things I saw on the ride, stuff like that. You tend to think about last year, but we just want to win the game. I'm not big on writing a poem about what happened last year or any of that stuff. I just want to win the game. They beat us last year, and I think I've gone out of my way to give them respect for that. Now it's over. Okay. So I'm not going to sit here and, I don't need Hallmark music behind me to make the point. Okay. Like, they beat us. I mean, Drew is one of those guys that forces you to create different situations to get him off the ball. That's just who he is. I coached him in New Orleans, and the time that I did have him, we knew he was going to be a bulldog on the ball. But then you also have to attack him. There's times when you can do that. But he's just got great balance. He's got for the size, he plays defense like he's, like Muggsy Bogues. Like, Muggsy had such good center of gravity and balance. Like, Drew has that, and we see it with his brother, Aaron. It's hard to say like what to do to counteract that. He's just that good. And he's got mental toughness, probably his greatest attribute. So, we'll try to do some things tonight to counter his ability on defense, but it's hard. Yeah. Yeah. I just think if you're in the league as long as he has been, you just learn. He probably knows more tendencies and more schemes and understands certain things that he didn't when I had him. Just a really good player, man. That's on both ends. I think people talk about his defense, but he offensively is as good as any two-way player in the league. He finishes with both hands. He can shoot it. He can play in the mid-range. He's got great pace. He's just a really good player. You guys are coming with heavy stuff today, man. Holy smokes. Well, I think culture is something that doesn't change, wins, losses, situations, like the culture. And it's not like things that coaches implement, it's about the people carrying out the culture. And one of the things that's part of our culture is competing no matter what. And it has served us well. It did last game when we had the situation with New York where there was some interaction and the tech and all this stuff, and our guys just stayed like that. And we were able to get back in the game. And then the mental fortitude along with the competitive nature for guys like Biz to sit that long and then come into the game and have an impact. I think those are things that can help you. They're not the only things, but those are the ones that just come to mind. Being able to compete and then being mentally strong enough to, you know, have an impact on the game when you're called upon, and just being an all-star in your role. I mean, I've always admired their family. Along with Justin, I've met their parents a number of times. I've heard all the stories about their family, and you see it in their kids. They're just tough, high character, and they just bring it every day. That's the one thing I've seen with both guys. No matter what happens in the game, the next day in practice or the next game, they still bring it. And I don't know if that's something that's been instilled in them, or I don't want to get that deep about it, but I've seen that with both guys.
This was one on Zoom from Steve Ashburner at NBA.com.
Hi, my name is Steve Ashburner, NBA.com. I'm doing a story on the fact that the NBA this season has the most number of female referees that it's ever had. And the fact that you have one working today, this isn't any sort of trap or anything, but I'm curious in a general sense. Do you notice any differences in texture or demeanor in a game? There's a female referee on the floor.
Going from deep to Android, man, I can't understand what. I think I heard it correctly. I think from my perspective,
Did you get my question?
I think I got most of it. I think for me, I don't see the differences that you may think. I think I'm different because I was just taught to have a great level of respect for women. And so there are times where I may want to raise my voice like I normally would with, you know, the referees, officials that I've been around for a while that are men. And with the ladies, I'm just so mindful that I can't do that. But I don't see the differences. I think they're trying to do the best job they can, just like the men. I see the focus. I see them trying to get it right, just like the men. And they should be applauded for that. And I hope that one day we'll be able to look at them as officials instead of a lady official or a male official. Thank you. Need a translator.